Today, we're talking about 5 ways to prepare for the new year and not like make a vision board or write down a whole bunch of goals. We're talking about different ways that we can prepare to walk into the new year, reset with God before we jump into the new year. Hey, welcome to Growing Up Kingdom. My name's Daniel, and I'm so excited that you're here. If you've been looking for a place where you feel like you can be encouraged, where you feel like you can grow in your confidence, this right here is an absolutely great place to do that. So make sure that you stick around. Like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you can on the platform you're listening. It's all going to help you grow. And there's only going to be more content in the new year. Boy, I can't speak today, but we're going to get through this episode anyways. Yeah, 5 ways to prepare for the new year. We always get into the new year, we're like, oh, how do I prepare? Do I just write some goals? Do I make a vision board? All that stuff is great. Definitely. Do your resolutions, decide what you're going to change. But these are some practical things, some practical ways we can reset with the Lord before we go running into the new year. The first one is really, really, really simple. We can all do this one. Just be honest about how this year actually went. This year that's ending right now, take some time, reflect on how this year went. Now, I know there's a lot of people who say what happened in the past doesn't matter, just move forward. I get that. But at the same time, I think if you just think about it right now, there's a couple of things you did this year that you're like, yeah, we can't do that again in the new year. You're thinking, you're like, you know what? No, that actually worked really, really well last year. We got to do that again. So just take some time. Actually think through your year. What went well? What didn't go well? Lamentations 3:40 says, let us test and examine our ways and return to the Lord. Testing and examining our ways are good in any area of life, in anything. Let's take this practically, right? Just like the verse says, maybe you feel like, hey, this year's just been crazy. Maybe you feel like you've drifted from God. You've gotten away from what really mattered this year. Take some time, reevaluate that. Get back to it. But really, think through it practically. What worked this year? What didn't work? What pulled you closer to God this year? What pushed you further away? Growth starts with honesty. We can only grow if we're really honest about what went well and what didn't go well. What we would actually do again and what we say, no, I'm not going back to that. Maybe you made some mistakes. You're not proud of them, but you can acknowledge them and be like, you know what? I made some mistakes last year. I don't want to repeat that. Some relationships that you got into earlier this year that you're like, no, I just can't bring that into the new year. Think about it just for a little bit. What can you do better this year? What did you do wrong last year? What did you do right last year? And how's that going to affect this upcoming year? Sometimes just by doing that, you can already take some lessons away from it. Like, oh yeah, I did that. Not doing that. I did that. We're going to do that. Pretty simple. Write them down. Put them in your notes on your phone. Write them in a journal. Like, pause the video right now. Do it. But we're going to go on. The second key would be put God back where he belongs. Now, again, if you were looking for, this is how you write goals, that's not this episode. We're talking about practical ways to step into the new year better. And I can't think of a better way to do that than putting God back where he belongs. Matthew 6:33 says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Now, we're not talking all these things like, every single thing you want just for some gluttonous or prideful matter. No, we're talking if you read this in context, it's talking about the things that really matter, the things that you really need in life. And sometimes we find ourselves struggling so hard, to try to make sure that we're all good and that we've got everything, that we just, push God to the side. And we're like, nah, I don't need you. I'll figure it out myself. And then if I got time, then we'll do it. You see it in church attendance all the time. People, they come to church consistently until they get a new job, until they get into a new relationship, and all of a sudden they're so busy chasing the new job, they're so busy chasing a promotion, chasing that boyfriend, chasing that girlfriend, that you look around at some point, you're like, "Oh, man, these people just completely fell off in the church attendance because they were so busy chasing something else." That's a simple example, but we do that all the time in life. Think about it. God doesn't want leftovers. I don't want your leftovers. God doesn't want your leftovers either. When we're going through life, it's important to have God first, not just in like, "Oh yeah, I pray before I eat," but to actually have a relationship with him. And I would encourage you, if you feel like your relationship with God hasn't been the greatest this year, I would encourage you to lock back in. If you haven't been attending a church lately, go find yourself a Bible-believing church and get plugged in there. If you feel like you've been missing community lately, go find yourself a good, solid community. If you feel like, I don't know, you haven't been reading your Bible lately, pick up a Bible, download the Bible app, go to a bookstore, find one, and just start reading it. Put God where he belongs, and that's first, not the last thing you think of at night. If you want your life to be better, then start working towards that, right? We say, "Oh, my mental health just absolutely sucks. It's not great. I don't have any peace. I got so much anxiety. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling this." How about we make it a challenge this new year? Let's start praying more. Let's start reading our Bible more. Let's start making church attendance a habit. And when we start putting God first instead of putting him last, we'll see that things might actually change this year. Not because just going to church is going to help you achieve all the goals on your list. No, but it's because something happens when you really lock in with God and you say, "You know what? I'm not doing this without you. I'm putting you first, and everything else comes after that." I would challenge you. Do that. The third key would be to drop the weight you were never meant to carry. There's so much weight we carry sometimes. And it's stuff, if we're being really honest, a lot of the weight is things we put on ourselves. We've got a weight telling us we need to get perfect grades. We've got this weight telling us we need to make a certain amount of money. We have this weight telling us once we're a certain age, we need to be in a relationship. We have this weight on us. Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved." Now, I think that's beautiful. It says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and he will sustain you." Now, casting your burden on the Lord doesn't say, "Oh, God, I trust you," but at the same time, I'm stressing every single day about what I'm going to do next, and I'm absolutely panicking because, no, at some point there needs to be some trust. And we say, "Oh yeah, God's got me, God's good." We say all that sort of stuff, but do we really believe it? You weren't built to hold everything together. You've got this weight on your shoulders. You've got this thing pushing down on you, like, "I gotta do all of this. I've gotta supply for this. I've gotta take care of this. I need to have this together." You weren't built to have everything together. You weren't built to keep pulling every single part of your life, holding up by yourselves. At some point, you gotta turn to God and say, "You know what? I can't do this on my own." I think this right here is really powerful. I wanna make sure this sinks in. God isn't impressed by burnout. I'm gonna say it again. God isn't impressed by burnout. Sometimes we get so caught up in serving at a church or doing good things or helping out every single person that asks for us that we get burnt out. We've got so much of a weight on our shoulder. We're carrying so much for other people. But God isn't impressed by your burnout. That's not healthy for you, and at some point that doesn't become healthy for other people. That's one of the biggest things I've had to learn this year. And I'm still working on it, you guys. I feel like, if I'm being completely honest, that's where I'm stuck right now. And that's what's got to change moving into the next year for me. You asked Daniel, what's got to change for you? This is what's got to change for me. It's this mindset that God isn't impressed by burnout. I can't take every opportunity that comes my way. I can't give every single person time who wants my attention. I can't do everything everyone wants me to do. Sometimes it feels like people just push responsibility over responsibility over responsibility on you, expectation after expectation. At some point, you have to realize God isn't impressed by your burnout. It means so much more to him if you really stay calm and stay focused on him and do the few things that he's calling you to do instead of doing everything that everyone else wants you to do. I feel like for me personally, right, as I was working through this, that's what stood out the most to me. And I want to just sit there because so many of us, we carry this weight. We carry this heaviness that, the weight of everyone's on my shoulders and they want this and they want that. We carry this weight. We carry this weight on our shoulders. Trust looks like letting go. If you're saying, I'm trusting God this new year, I'm trusting God to, move in my life. I'm trusting that he's got me. I'm trusting that he's supplying for me. That means that you're letting go. You're not holding on to everything, trying to do everything all the time. Here's the fourth one. Let God interrupt your plans. God's not against your goals. He just wants to be included in your goals. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. So God's not anti-dreams. He's not against your goals. He's not saying, you can't want to do anything in life. No, he's against you running your life without him. He wants to be a part of your life. And sometimes we think of God as just this distant being who's got no interest in what's going on in our lives and doesn't want to have anything to do with us, just created us and just let us be. But no, he really cares about what you want to do in your life and he loves you. Real success starts with surrender. It's saying, God, what do you want from me this year? What do you want to do through my life? And that's where I'm at right now. As I'm going into this new year, I'm asking the Lord, what do you want me to do? I'll go where you want me to go. I'll do what you want me to do. I'll say what you want me to say. I'll make my own goals. But I want to make sure that the Lord is in them. I want to make sure I'm doing things to further his kingdom. This whole podcast is called Growing Up Kingdom because we're looking at ways to grow in the kingdom of God. Not just in like a simple way or even in a really, really like theologically deep way, but instead it's like practical things. Practical ways we can live our life with God in every area, whether that be our friends, our family members, our friendships, I said friendships already, didn't I? The way we interact with people at school, the way we think in our minds. When we're talking about growing up kingdom, that's what it is. And that's what we need to be doing every day, and especially moving into this new year. All right, last tip right here. Stay close to Jesus. Sounds so simple, but everything you do flows from that. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. John 15, verses 4-5 say, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. So it's an analogy here. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. I'm not saying, you can't do it. You can do nothing as in, you can't get up and brush your teeth and make money and have a family. No, but if you really want to make a lasting impact, if you really want to change the world, if you really have goals this year, the best way to do it is to do it with Jesus. You don't need a perfect life. You don't need a perfect year. You need a connected life, though. You need a life connected with Jesus that's focused on him in every single thing you do, in the goals you plan now, in the people you meet in 3 months. When you're looking back at the end of the year, you can say, you know what? I did this. I did what God wanted me to do. I lived this year with Jesus, and it's been the best year I've had. That's what we want to be like at the end of the year. Distance from Jesus always shows up eventually. And I think we can agree we don't want that to show up this year. I hope this episode has helped you. Again, this wasn't the sort of, make a vision board, write your goals sort of way to prepare. But this is ways to prepare our hearts, ways to prepare our lives moving into the new year. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you can on the platform you're listening. Every single platform is different. Share this with a friend. If you think a friend could benefit from this, share it with them. We're getting ready for the new year. That's not only you, that's your friend too. If you think, hey, this could benefit so-and-so, send it their way. All right? Merry Christmas. This is the last episode before Christmas. I know we're already looking to the new year, but yeah, Merry Christmas. I love you guys. This is going to be fun. There's lots of amazing good stuff coming in the new year, so stay tuned for that. New stuff, fun stuff coming in the new year. I'll see y'all there. Well, we might have one more episode. We'll see. If I take a break or we do one more, we'll probably do one more. I don't know how to end this. Endings are so hard. Yeah, I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Till next time. Bye.